Hello students, welcome to this session. In this session, we are going to deal with the intermediate code generation. In the previous session, we learned how to attach the semantic rules to the given grammar. So, we know how to prepare the SDT or SDD. Now, we are going to deal with the intermediate code generation. So, the objective of this session is we are going to understand what is the intermediate code and what is the purpose of intermediate code and what are the various types of intermediate codes. We know that the compiler consists of the 6 phases. The first phase is lexical analysis, then syntax analysis, then semantic analysis, and then it is comes to the ICG. ICG stands for the intermediate code generation. After this ICG, the code is given to the code optimization phase, then it is given to the target code generation. After attaching the semantic actions to the given grammar, the SDT is generated or the annotated parse tree is generated, then it is given as input to the intermediate code generation, which can generate the intermediate code. Here, the input is given to the intermediate code from the semantic analysis phase, and it is going to generate the intermediate code I am termed as IC, which is given as input to the code generation. Of course, there is a by using the symbol table, it is going to generate the object code or the absolute code. Okay, you may have a doubt, what is the purpose of ICG? Can we convert the direct source code into machine code? Simply no. Why? Because every code has its own terminology and the platform is most important. That means on which platform that the source code is going to be evaluated. So, if a compiler translates the source program to target machine language without having the intermediate code generator, so for every particular language there must be a native compiler, okay, which is must required, because then only the source code can be understandable by the native compiler, then only the source code is can converted into the absolute machine code or target code. If the native compiler is not exist, we cannot convert our source code to target code. And intermediate code eliminates the need of a new compiler for every source code. That means if I am going to run a source code on a particular machine, if I want to run my Java program on a machine, so for that particular Java program, I need a native compiler. On the same machine, if I want to run another source program, definitely I need such native compiler to compile such, let us say, C program into the object code or C++ to object code. So for every source program, we need a native compiler. So we know that the compiler is divided into two parts named as analysis part and synthesis part. Okay, so from this analysis part, by help of the ICG intermediate code generator, we are going to generate the unique code for all the programming languages, and that is given as input to the synthesis part. In the synthesis part, depend upon the language, it can generate its target machine code. And intermediate code generator generates the intermediate code by which we can apply various type of optimizations to optimize the given source code. So it is easy to apply the modifications for the source code, so that optimization is easy in the target machine code. So that optimization is easy. Now we are going to deal with the intermediate representation. So what are the various types of representations we have? We have two types of intermediate representations. The first one is high level intermediate representation. The second one is low level intermediate representation. If it is high level intermediate representation, so we are going to generate the intermediate code according to the given source code. Okay, and if we are applying any modifications in the ICG, that will affect on the optimization code. Next, come to the second one, it is low level intermediate representation, which is machine independent. come to the second one, which is the low level intermediate representation, which is completely machine dependent. Register allocation such things are comes under this, and intermediate code can be language specific. So for the Java we can generate the byte code, and it may be language independent. That means for every programming language or for every source code we can generate the 3 address code as the intermediate code. Okay, now come to the types of intermediate code. There are 3 types of intermediate code. First one is the abstract syntax tree, or sometimes we can spell it as syntax trees, then polish notation or postfix notations. Then come to the third one is 3 address code, abstract syntax trees. We'll learn what is a syntax trees and what is an abstract syntax tree, or what is the concrete syntax tree, and finally what is a annotated parse tree. Here we are going to use the abstract syntax tree in the form of intermediate code, so which can represent only the terminals, and sometimes operators may be the nodes of this particular syntax tree, and this is more compact than the syntax tree. In a syntax tree we are going to represent the given grammar like this. Let us e tends to e plus e, let us say this is id, this is id. So to generate the string id plus id, I can use this syntax tree. If I am going to generate the abstract syntax tree, no need to represent all the things, simply I can write id id. So which is the abstract syntax tree, okay, for generating this string id plus id. Now we are going to deal with this abstract syntax tree. So the first one is a plus b. So here I am writing plus a and b. Okay, so this is the abstract syntax tree for a plus b. Now come to the second one, a star b plus c. So here 2 operators are there. First one is the multiplication, second one is the addition. So first I am going to deal with this multiplication operator as a, and I cannot write b here because there is one more operation, plus is there. So I have to write the plus and b and c. So this is the abstract syntax tree for a star b plus c. Okay, come to the second type of intermediate code, which is a postfix notation. If it is a postfix notation, we have to move the operators to the right hand side. Okay, so this is a linear representation of the intermediate code. Come to the first one. If it is a plus b, if I am going to find the postfix operation, so I have to write ab plus. That means this plus symbol is comes to the right hand side of the these operands. Come to the next one. Here there are 2 symbols are there, like multiplication and plus. These are the 2 operators. So I have to deal with the multiplication first, because which has the highest priority than plus. So I have to write a b star plus c, where I solve this one and I have to solve this one. So what you have to write, a b star c plus. So this is the postfix notation for given notation. Now come to the here you can see a star b plus c minus d, but I have to solve this b plus c first. Why? Because it is within the brackets. So a star b c plus minus d. So I solve this one and I have to solve a star and minus d. So among star and minus, which one is the highest precedence? Star. That means multiplication. So a b c plus star minus d. So here I solve this entire thing and I have to solve this minus d. So now the notation is a b c plus star d minus. So this is the required postfix notation. Okay, come to the third form of the intermediate code, which is known as 3 address code notation. That means we are going to break the given set of instructions into 3 address code. So if you are going to break it into 3 address code, then it can easily converted into the assembly language. Okay, and every 3 address code maximum consists 3 address locations and maximum of 2 on right hand side of this instruction, and on RHS there must be only one operator and 2 operands may exist. Here there are various examples for 3 address code we are going to solve. So in the first instruction, a plus b into c plus d. So now I have to use of temporary variables locations or temporary variables to solve this one. So I am writing t1 equal to a plus b. Why? Because this is a plus b is placed under the brackets. So I have to solve this parenthesis equation first, then I have to go for the remaining one. So t1 equal to a plus b, where t1 is the temporary location which is assumed by me. Now t2 equal to c plus d. Okay, now t3 equal to t1 multiplication t2. So as per the notation of 3 address code, on right hand side there is a maximum of 2 operands and there is a single operator. Now come to the next one. So a plus b star c plus d minus a plus b plus c. So first I want to solve this a plus b. So I am taking t1 equal to a plus b. So this part is over. Now come to the next part, c plus d. So t2 equal to c plus d. Fine. Now come to the third one. So it is a plus b plus c, but already we calculated a plus b equal to t1. So you can write t3 equal to t1 plus c, where t1 equal to a plus b and I am attaching plus c. So this is also in the form of 3 address code. Now come to the next one, t4 equal to, so this is t1 and multiplication, then c plus d. C plus d means t2. Okay, so I calculated this entire thing and I am stored in t4. Now t5 equal to, so this entire thing is t4. So write t4. Next minus, this instruction is loaded as t3. So t3. So this is the 3 address code for the given instruction. Okay. Here there are some more examples for dealing with this 3 address code. Come to the first one. So here 2 operators are there, multiplication and division, but along with this parenthesis there. So I have to solve the parenthesis first as t1 equal to b plus c. Then I have to solve this multiplication, because multiplication and division have the same precedence, but according to associativity I have to go with this multiplication. So what you have to write, t2 equal to a into this b plus c, that is t1. Okay, then this entire thing is treated as t2 now. So t3 equal to t2 by d. Okay, so this is the 3 address code for the given instruction. Now come to the next one. Here there are 2 parentheses are there, and multiplication minus plus by the division. So 4 operators are there. Now come to the first one, t1 equal to b into c, then t2 equal to c plus d. Okay, so this I consider as a t1. For c plus d I consider as a t2. So what I can write? So here the instruction is now a equal to t1 minus t2 by g. So when you compare with this subtraction and division, division at the highest precedence. So go for the division. So t3 equal to t2 by g. So this entire thing is treated as t3 now. So now t4 equal to, you can write t1, that means b into c, minus, what is this, t3, and finally a equal to t4. Or from this step no need to write these two instructions. We can write A equal to, this is T1, A equal to T1 minus this is T3, so T3. So we can write directly like this also. Okay, now come to the last one. So A equal to B into minus C. Here minus C, that means it indicates the unary operator. So we have to give the most precedence to this unary operator. So I am writing T1 equal to minus C. Okay, then I have to apply the multiplication operation with B. So T2 equal to B into, so minus C is loaded onto T1, so I have to write T1. And again you can find this is B into minus C, that means the same T2. So A equal to B into minus C, that means T2 and plus T2. So this is the 3 address code for the given instruction. Okay, so this is the 3 address code for the given instruction. In this session we learned what is the purpose of intermediate code, and if intermediate code is not there, so what will happen. So there must be a need of native compiler for every source program to compile onto that machine. And we learned what are the various representations of the intermediate code, and we learned what are the various types of intermediate code. Thank you.